all the time. We're here now.
Steve, tell us where you've been, your most recent expedition.
We just got back Saturday from El Atar, an expedition to El Atar. It's the 5th tallest peak in Ecuador, and it's the most technically difficult one to climb. We spent 10 days going into the place and hanging out around the area because it's very much like a little Switzerland. It's got a lot of deep glacier-carved valleys and lakes and 500 to 800 foot waterfalls all over the place. Really spectacular.
Spectacular. Was it what elevation?
Anywhere from, what was it? From anywhere from 10,000 feet to, we got nearly over 15,000 on El Atar.
Now you've
16.
started a new adventure program, haven't you? And you're taking some people along with you on these trips.
It started kind of strange because what it is I give a lot of slideshows and talk to a lot of people, and I kept getting this, well, I wish I could do what you're doing attitude, in Lyons. And I says, well,
put your money where your mouth is, right?
I decided to put a trip together. Sangay, the active volcano, was the first one, and I just started perpetuating it. So if they want to go for it, you just give me a call and I'll put it together for you. See, my initial thing was to be an adventure companion, where you chose the adventure and I would put it together for you and make it happen. But that seems, people have lack imagination or the courage to make their own adventure, so I've just been putting some together to make it happen so if they want to go, they can join me on what I want to do. So I'm going anyways. If they want to join
a whole
me.
lot. Steve got me started in rock climbing, and I just now, this is my first trip.
I'll tell you something about him. You may not recognize him in this outfit. He's got one of Steve's shirts on. But JR is one of the over-the-hill gang at the Arrow Bear Fire Department.
I remember that.
So he's done his share of ropes and what have you, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Practice my over the side.
It's easy to train this guy.
Oh, I'm sure it is. He's had a lot of experience. He's on a bigger mountain now, right?
Yeah.
He's got the enthusiasm, he's
bigger.
fit, and he's got some background, and he learns quickly.
JR, I want to hear it from you, because I was when you told me you were going, I was so excited for you, so jealous. Tried to get my son to go with you, but he couldn't get off of work. Tell us what it was like when you got off the airplane over there and when you first saw those mountains. What's this guy like to climb?
Don't see him right away. You got to go into the motels, and then you get ready and do the shopping for the trip, and get the porters ready, and start feeling it on the hike out there.
And did you notice the difference in altitude when you got up to the base camp?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was about 10 or 11,000 feet then. And high camp was around 14,000.
14,000. How about you guys describing your trek from the high camp to the summit and what it was like? How about both of you giving us a shot at that?
Go ahead, Jay. Give it to him. Let him out.
Yeah. What's it like? First time out.
Everybody hears me say that. Yeah.
From 14,000 feet.
It was a full moon. We got up at 1 o'clock in the morning and started our trek. There was one of the other Ecuadorian climbers got sick, so there was 3 of us together instead of 2. And things went a little bit slow, but we got pretty high up, but we had to retreat because of the weather, and we were going slow.
What kind of weather were you facing?
Well, there was a big storm coming in.
Like snow?
A lot of snow.
Okay.
It ended up being a 3-day storm.
Oh my gosh.
But the first couple of pitches, we went up first couple of pitches. The Ecuadorian that we were climbing with wasn't as good as he's made himself out to be. So he tensioned the rope, and I just led with about a 65-degree ice pitch, and I was not putting any pro in. I was just doing it straight up to the, running it out completely 165 footers, just to so that we could make things go fast. But it was really spectacular, the view, and you could see from this ice wall you're looking out over this huge valley towards the Amazon basin, and you could see some guy smoking every 15-20 minutes. Huge plumes of ash and eruptions would come up out of the top of the volcano.
Oh, that would be awesome.
At night even, it was just spectacular. You didn't even need a headlamp to climb. That's what we saw, how bright it was out at night.
I could see some guy in the distance erupting, which was kind of neat. Something you don't see around here.
No, at least we hope not. Really.
Yeah,
Well,
there goes Slide Peak.
Yeah.
What kind of experience level would you say that you need to have to go on one of these expeditions?
Well, there's all different kinds, because the whole trip wasn't oriented just around the mountain. It was also to go to the Silva, which ended up being a logistical error on my part a little bit, because this part of the mountain, this part of the area is really different. It's a lot of knife blade ridges a different kind of terrain than some guy was in the other volcanoes in the area. It's completely different. So most people that want to go on any of my adventures, if they go on, if it'll say on the flyer, or if you ask me, it'll say what kind of experience you need. But I do ones that where all you need to do is be fit. Like on this trip we had one guy who was a marathoner, you know, and he had no climbing experience, but he climbed a 17,200 foot mountain of rock and was quite ecstatic about that. That was an altitude record for him. He'd never been that high before. And the views were spectacular on top of that mountain because you could see every one of the snow-capped peaks in all of Ecuador, the entire country. You know, there's 8 of them. You can see every one of them. If you point them all out and name them all off.
You were telling me about El Altar, the different names. Maybe you could explain.
Yeah, El
that.
Altar is an example.
Oh, what a beautiful lake. Is that Papoose Lake out here behind Lake Arrowhead? Did you guys really leave the country?
Sure, no, it's just like the astronauts. We didn't go on a big set, you know.
Amazing what you can do with a few filters.
It's just like on the moon.
Tell us where that beautiful lake is.
Where's it at, Jay?
That's at the bottom of the glacier, being fed by the glacier water.
El Altar. What's really unique about it is it's all glacial carved into a valley, and it's all rock rimmed. And where the water exits that lake, it drops about 800 feet, would you say? 800 feet straight, just like Yosemite Falls type falls, right down into this area of just jumbled rocks where it goes underground. And we went into these caves with waterfalls shooting out of the walls, and all this. The growth there is so spectacular. When you start getting the lower elevations, the growth is every square inch is got 100 different life forms growing in it. In fact, national debt for park for land exchange. Anyways, we found a huge pile of trash in there, and we picked it all up and buried it from another expedition and cleaned up. You have to have ethics. The only way they're going to learn is to, by example, not by telling them.
Do you recognize that guy? Do you recognize that guy there in the summit?
Yeah, that's the summit of Ilanisa. That's just regular glory shot.
Now, who is that guy?
That's me.
Well, forget him for a second. Who's the photographer then? He had to have made it with you.
Oh yeah, that's Pedro Espinosa. Can't be the Alps.
Could you go a little bit into your background, Steve, as to some of the mountains you've climbed?
I'll show for REI in San Dimas on the 8th of February at 7 o'clock. And Green Valley Lake, a local one, at 8:30 at the lodge in Green Valley Lake.
What night will that be now?
That'll be the 9th.
The 9th.
That's a Friday night.
The Friday night,
Mm-hmm. So you can come in early, have some dinner, and then sit back with a drink and watch a show, because it's basically what's going to happen.
Well, let me ask you this. As to being a leader of an expedition
You
like
came across the ridge and
Yeah.
you first saw the valley of El Altar and the whole area, and then you just going, yeah, right on, that's cool. All these guys are just going, yeah, they're running down the hills to these fields of flowers and stuff, and they're all excited like children,
Is that likened to the slide we have up here now?
Yeah, and then you go into the bush at the base. This is going towards the base of the waterfall. This is some of the bush you have to negotiate to get to it. And there's back in there, believe it or not, we found a cave, and took pictures of that. Had all this like gelatinous fungi hanging off the ceiling of it, and all different colors inside. And there was muck up to about knee deep inside. It was pretty spectacular in there too.
REI must love you out there on a real trek. What can you say to people who might be thinking about doing this, and how do you feel about Steve as your leader?
That's good. He's very experienced. He's very good. If you need anything, he'll tell you what to do, how to do it, and do it right. Because if you don't, then
You could be in trouble.
You'd be in trouble. So.
Did you have any rough spots yourself? Not having climbed anything like this before, did you find any rough spots, or were you able to handle them all with
I
good
was able to do
positive
real
demeanor?
good.
Yeah.
Now
Just the
he-
food,
A little
huh?
slow in the walking, but
He fired, he had the ice tools in his hands, and with the hammer, he's a carpenter, so he understands the concept of how to use the tool. He whacked right up the ice. It was great to see him. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be slow, and he just went, just like an ant crawled up the wall. And I was
Ice
like,
Axe
yeah.
Johnston, huh?
that's it.
Now, you're kind of a purist when you climb. In other words, you don't leave any trace in the sense of leaving, what do you call those, pinions?
Pitons.
Well, I was
Yeah.
close. Pinions are from a pine tree, aren't they?
Yeah, the only time you'd ever use one is when you absolutely have to. You might have to abseil, to leave the rock, to rappel. Backpack horizontally, you got to think the same. If you're clean there, you got to think the same. Leave no trace, especially on vertical walls, because they're obvious. When you walk horizontally, you don't see the trash till you walk on it. But on a wall, if there's some big bright sling hanging off of something or something, you'll see it from a great distance, and it's an eyesore, you know, it shouldn't be there.
Well, I wish many of our
T-shirt is, we invested the expedition money that everybody invested in, and we printed up these T-shirts, and the reason for printing the T-shirts was that everyone that sold one would get a percentage of the T-shirt, like just what, $3.20 per shirt would go towards the person who sold it, so he could buy gear to go on the expedition or offset the cost of going. Since the expedition, 3 weeks, all expenses paid, airfare included, transportation, accommodations complete while you're there. From the time you leave LAX to your return was $1,500. That's all I charge to go. That's for 3 weeks.
That's pretty inexpensive,
Yeah,
isn't it?
well, you know, 10 days
That's
in
airfare.
the bush. Look in the Alpenhorn on the, since I'll be doing the articles, I'll have my address and phone number at the end of the article, and you can give me a call, and I'll send you a flyer of the planned expeditions I have for this year, and some of the local stuff, because it's not all overseas. I'll be doing caving trips. Yeah, as if his wife won't kill him. That was great, though. We were gone in the perfect timing because it snowed like crazy, and since we're in construction, you know, we couldn't work much anyway, so
Sounds like a good excuse
hey,
to
we
me.
had a great time. Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
All righty.
Thank you.